Hey, I'm Nick, and thank you for joining me today on what we are tentatively calling Defining Life. So, the purpose of this show or video series that we're doing every Thursday at 3 is to help people navigate life, define the life that they want for themselves. We talk about Define My Day, but this is not just about Define My Day. This is about like the habits that we have and the way we approach life, the way we look at our lives and the lives around us and how we want to approach all of it with the end result of defining the lives for ourselves that we want. So that's what I'm here for. We are in the future going to be bringing some other people on that know more about specific situations that I might not be an expert on. But for right now, you get me. And we're going to sit here and talk about what is going on this week in life. I encourage you to ask questions. For whoever asks questions live, number one, I appreciate it because you keep the conversation exactly where it needs to be. By having the feedback from people on here, it just makes this so much better for everybody. So I love the real world examples. I love the questions. I love the comments. I love the feedback. So bring it on. I appreciate it. For those watching it live, we are going to do a giveaway at the end of today. I don't have any of the pens examples, but we're going to give you the choice. You get the choice of 1 3-pack of pens or highlighters, a sticky note, either the sticky notes from Post-it or the Define My Day sticky notebooks that we have that all different size sticky notes. And then we'll also give you Aqua Notes, or you can pick out some planner stickers and we'll give you a couple of package of planner stickers. And we even have new planner stickers coming out that I believe may have even been delivered while I was prepping for this video. So I think they're downstairs right now. So they should be hitting the website probably tonight because I know we're pretty excited about getting those on the website. So that website being shop.yourdefinedlife.com, in case you're not aware of it. But most of you are already Define My Day customers, or I hope you will be. So then you probably know about it at that point. But we'll certainly let you know in future posts and updates and videos about everything we have going on over there. What we did have going on in the business is our weekly planning, or not weekly planning. This would actually be like the yearly planning. So we all sat down at the conference room A, aka my dining room, and we put up the big Post-it note, the gigantic Post-it note easel, and wrote down just everything that we need or want to get done this year. And once we spitballed and threw out everything we could think of, and even added some things after the fact, we put them, we kind of marked the ones that need to get done now, and then we marked the ones that are in the near future, and then we put the ones that are okay, that's just not realistic. That's going to be a next year thing, and if we're lucky, maybe we bring it forward. So for us in our business, we would love to have an app where somebody could do Define My Day on their phone. That's just requires so much planning and management. That's way down the road, right? But there's things that need to happen right now that we need to get taken care of now before we can do anything down the road. One of the things that we realized in looking at all of this stuff is that I have my hands in way too much of it. So we're going to get to this conversation today about being busy or productive. If I am going to do my best for our customers and continue to provide more value for our customers, then I need to be working in specific areas, and there's things that I should not be doing. And there are clearly some things on that list that are yeah, that's just not, if I do that, I'm never going to get anything else done. So we need to have somebody else take it over, outsource it, something like that, right? So, and it's nice because other people get to say, hey, I can do that, right? And they all get a sense for, what the whole team is doing, and then we can do better at trying to, balance the load in a bunch of different places. So, it's how I would bring it back down to planning your day. You don't have to be running a business. If you treat yourself as a business, one of the best effective ways of figuring out where you need to place your time is writing down the entire list of things you need to do. And rather than just ticking it off in the order that you wrote it down, or in the order that it screamed at you, you start ordering it in importance. Like in alignment with where you want to go in life, right? And so we're going to get into it. I promise you we're going to get into it here in a little bit in the future. Well, in the next couple of minutes, like in the next 15, 20 minutes. But, there are some smaller topics I want to go over beforehand. And that's kind of going to be the format with this going forward, is we're going to hit some small stuff, some conversational pieces. I'll answer some questions in the very beginning, and then we'll get into the topic. And then at the very end, we can go into questions, and we'll do the giveaway about that too. So stick around, and we'll get into all of this. Let me see who's here with us right now so far. We have about 20 people online already, so I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. Anna says, love these live videos. Thanks, Nick. You're welcome. Thank you. Sharon, hello. Hoping the grandkids stay occupied with their whiteboards while I watch this. Awesome. It's nice because mine are in school, and when they're in school, it's nice and quiet. First-time viewer, Jamie, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Second-time viewing, loved last week. Kathy, thank you. I appreciate that. So welcome back, everybody that's back. And if you're new, I hope we provide some value to you. I'm open to feedback. This is a growing development for me. This is new. If you are in the user group, if you're a Define My Day user, I've been going live and talking about small little subjects and answering some questions every morning in the user group. If you're not in the user group and you are a user, get in the user group. It's free, and there are some awesome people in there that are leading the way. Helping people do what they need to do to get organized, and motivating, and getting their questions answered, answering questions. It's a really cool environment. I love that. That's probably the biggest accomplishment. Aside from some of the individual stories I've seen, that's probably the biggest accomplishment in this entire business that we've had, is that user group. I'm really, really proud of that user group. Hey, Sherry, I hope one of the things you will keep doing are these videos. Thank you. I will. I absolutely. So that is one of my big priorities going forward, is these videos. So I appreciate that. Thank you. They're not only inspirational, but they give us fresh ideas and help with motivation. Yes, I love it. And part of it is having a new space. So for us, this business and what we're doing, now we have some employees we're hiring, and we're growing out of our house. So we either need to get a commercial space or a house that's just a little bit more conducive, other than this little mini thing we got going on here. We're trying, that's one of our priorities, is try to figure out what kind of space we're going to have and have a better quality for all of this. So you're not just looking at my blinds in the back over here, all that good stuff. So it's all progress. We're all trying to do what we got to do. Pamela, you're off today, so you get to watch live. Awesome. Appreciate you, Pamela. Thank you. You learned so much from these in our group. That's awesome. I appreciate you. I learned a lot from you too, believe me. I reference your 15-minute pockets all the time. Christine, new to the group, first time watching. Thanks. Appreciate it. So the first thing I want to talk about is this concept of life and death has been popping up a lot in the past week or two for me. We've had some deaths in the family. I've had some people that I know that have had deaths in their families. So a couple of anecdotal stories. But then also just kind of watching what's been going on in my life, and how even realizing that it's already the 16th of January. I mean, do you realize we're already beyond 2 weeks into 2020? And I feel like we were just anticipating Christmas yesterday. It's going by way too fast. And I saw a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a while posted a birthday post on Facebook today. And their son, I probably saw him last 5 or 6 years ago, and he was my kid's age. Now the guy's, obviously, because this is the way time works in aging, this kid's in high school now, and he's a big kid. And I think about that a lot with my kids, especially like on days when I haven't been able to spend a lot of time, or maybe I had gone out to meet somebody in the evening and didn't really get to spend any quality time with them before they went to bed. It's going by so fast. And these moments, if we don't properly align our attention, they fly by, and then the next thing you know, it's gone. Like everybody's out of the house. Our parents might be gone. Like there's so many things, friends, family. Like it's just, we have to take the time to appreciate where we're at, and also make sure that we're planning ahead properly so that we can spend and invest more time where we want. And that's this whole thing. Like this whole defined life concept is about that. It's about spending time where we want to spend it. It's not about doing more. It's, I know the title of this video is about being productive, but it's not about doing more. It's about doing more of what we love, right? And we might not even love what we're doing right now, but we're going to love the result. And so I think that's a perspective shift for a lot of people, that, we need to understand that we just can't do everything, and we can't do, like, we got to pay attention to what we really want to pay attention to before it's gone. So that's a big thing for me daily. Melinda says, really enjoy all your videos, especially these 3 p.m. ones. Thank you. I'm in Western Washington, so not quite willing to get up at 4 a.m. For the daily ones. So yeah, I appreciate that. That was it. The reason I do those early in the morning, because that's like kind of like my introspective time. Usually I'm reading or writing, or I've just got done with my meditation, so I have like something top of mind. But it's also just a quiet time for me to do it. And I know a lot of people can't make it, but I figured if it's one of the first things somebody sees when they get into the group and they can, watch 5 or 10 minutes, then I can have an impact there. And it's also kind of lightweight for me, right? So I don't have to schedule it, and people aren't waiting. And if I miss it, then I don't feel, like I let everybody down. So that's been kind of the goal with that one. It's just like, just do it and get it done. And if you catch it live, great. If you can't, it's there. And if you ask questions, I can answer them the next day. But for this one, this is our regular routine, and we're going to try to work on the format and figure out what people like and what people don't, and get it better for you every week. First time viewer, Tanya. Awesome. Thank you. So the big thing in kind of being able to enjoy our lives is being healthy, right? And there's a lot of components to that, but paying attention to our health, just improving our health every day, is really important. It's an important part of my whole process, and something that, I really, this year is a priority for me is, eating better. Exercise, I really can't exercise anymore. I'm doing a lot of it. I'm just not eating well. So I can't, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. So I'm working on that for myself. But there's always those times, like after I eat something and I think, I shouldn't have done that, right? And it's trying to get that perspective of like, that momentary satisfaction right now is not worth the pain of, health problems and dying early and not seeing my kids grow up and their kids grow up. So it's that perspective that I'm always trying to keep in mind with my health. And I was reading a psychologist, an article, and he was saying, actually he's a psychiatrist, he was saying that somebody that comes in with depression, the first thing he works on, or anxiety, the first thing he works on with that person is their sleep. If their sleep is out of whack, it's an uphill battle, and it will be a miserable battle for everybody. So the first thing he does is get them on a solid sleep routine. So, and he says that, what did he say? He doesn't care what time they go to bed, I think, as long as they wake up at the same time. That's what it is. He doesn't care what time they go to bed, as long as they wake up at the same time every day. So if they say, I need to wake up at 6 o'clock, and then they wake up at 6 o'clock, and usually what happens is, with that, I've done this, is that if I make myself wake up at 6 o'clock, and even 5 o'clock now, when I do that, even if I'm exhausted that day, and it's miserable that day, I have to go to bed early that night, or I just can't. I can't stay awake. And maybe sometimes that might take a day or two to get adjusted to it, but it really does work for you. So if you set that hard wake up time, it impacts your go to bed time. Like you just can't stay awake late at all. But so what he does is, whatever that wake up time is, that gets them that solid morning routine. Like, so it starts then, and then they get a good, like, they do the healthy stuff. They exercise. They do all the stuff from the Miracle Morning, really. They journal. They eat well. A low sugar breakfast, like something that he says that if you eat high sugar breakfast, it starts this carb cycling all through the day, and your sugar's all out of whack. And really, the only way to stop that is going to sleep and trying again the next day. So you start off with like just an even blood sugar level for the entire day, and it has such a positive impact on your mood and everything that it makes the battle against depression and anxiety that much easier. Not that it's easy, but easier. And then your just overall health improves from that. So, I think that sleep to me is probably one of the things that I fell under that wrong idea. Like I believe that wrong idea that if you want to make it in life, if you want to be a successful business owner, if you want to be a hustler, right, then you have to sleep 4 hours a night and work into the night, get up early and work as early as possible, get more done before everybody else wakes up, right? Early bird gets the worm and all that stuff. And believe me, in business circles, when people saw, like I think even talking about it on LinkedIn or something, and when people saw that I was waking up at 4 a.m, going to bed at 11 o'clock at night, getting 5 hours of sleep, they were impressed, and they're like, "Oh, how's that going for you? I wish I could do that." Blah, blah. And I got nothing but positive conversations. But what it did to me, over time, my mindset got crushed over a couple of months. I was doing it for a couple of months, and I felt okay waking up, but I burned out really hard. I did not have a good mindset. And so since then, I've read more about sleep, and I can even post a link to some of the books on here. And, basically now, like when you look at the really balanced, successful people, they make sure they get 7 hours of sleep a night. And the research even says, like, when you're sleeping, your brain is basically like, it's like a wash cycle where it's actually flushing your brain of toxins. Like there's like some sort of mechanism there where it's actually cleaning out your brain, but it also prunes pathways, and they say that while you're sleeping, everything that you're thinking about through the day, like your brain is pruning your neural pathways so that you think that way more efficiently, which bringing it back to the Define My Day process with the appreciation and the trying to get our minds a little bit more positive with affirmations and things, that if we can try to tip the scales a little bit and think a little bit more positively, I'm not the guru that says think positively and everything's okay. It's not me. But I think that we train ourselves to think a certain way, and if you continue to think negatively and you continue to, whatever that negative cycle is for you, then your brain gets more efficient at thinking that way because it's pruning the pathways to think that way. And it's why the more you practice anything, you get better at it because your brain becomes more efficient at thinking that way. So, I've tried, while I'm not a positive thinker, in fact, I'm probably pretty pragmatic, right? I think that I've been able to improve my mindset through the practices that we use in Define My Day, but also through meditation and other mindfulness stuff. And, it takes a long time. I think it's, especially like I would maybe illustrate my early years as kind of a nosedive, and my little efforts to change my mindset is like the pilot pulling on the yoke trying to avoid hitting the ground. That's kind of the way I experience or I visualize my mindset in my earlier years. And it was a slow pull out of that nosedive. But it's just, constant little things. And it was little stuff 10 or 15 years ago that led me to where we are now. I just didn't realize it, and I was just doing whatever I could do to pull out of that. And so if we can help anybody else to do that quicker, that's kind of my goal with this whole process. Is like don't wait for as long as it took me, or don't take as long as it took me. You know, it's learn from somebody else's mistakes and improve from there, right? Let me get back to the questions because I've seen some comments scrolling up, and I want to make sure I hit everybody. Yep, Melinda, you get it. Just watch it later. Yep, cool. Don, making strides here daily, focusing on small goals, absolutely, as I normally measure success on only big ones. Thank you. You're welcome. Small steps every day. Small steps. Kim, good to see you. So hard to differentiate sometimes. Absolutely. I agree with Sherry. Love the videos. Thank you. Appreciate it. Tanya, does it make a difference when you sleep? I get better sleep from 4 to 9 a.m. Nothing I've ever done has helped me to get sleep early. I can't really sleep until 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. So there is a book, and the title is escaping me. I don't have a hard copy. It's on my Kindle. It's called When. I think Daniel Pink is the author, where he describes larks and what's he call the other one? I can't remember. Sorry, I'm not prepared to talk about that book in particular. But it talks about the cycle, the regular cycle of humans, and how many people, I believe, are larks. An owl would be the other one, common sense. Larks have all of their energy in the morning, dip down a little bit about lunch, and then kind of level off through the afternoon, and then it kind of falls off the cliff at the end of the night. You might be an owl, where you have high energy in the evening, and then you go to sleep, and you go to sleep later, and then you wake up, and it's maybe even kind of a slow rise in the morning, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Well, the one thing I took away from this book is never have a surgery after late morning. The incidence of mistakes in medical facilities, hospitals, whatever, is much higher as that cycle starts to dip for doctors. Remember, doctors are human too. So I will never, ever schedule a medical procedure after first thing in the morning, unless I absolutely have to. So yeah, that's what I learned out of that one. So a couple of tips for sleeping well that in a lot of the things I've read is one, you want to be the same with it. So you don't have to be like, if you're 4 to 9, great, but as long as it's the same. So, and they say that it even takes, like, you almost jet lag yourself if you stay up and party on the weekends. You almost jet lag yourself, and it takes time for the body to recover to get back into that proper cycle for the weekday. So the more you can align yourself with that pattern, that specific pattern of sleep, the better. And as far as getting good sleep while you're in bed, black out your curtains, black out your room as much as possible. They're finding now in cities that have these real bright LED lights, the white lights instead of the yellow lights, that bright light is negatively impacting people's sleep because it's streaming into their windows, and your body is not completely shutting down the way it's supposed to. And it's also blue light. So avoiding blue light, that's why we have nighttime, the night modes on the phones and on even our computers now, because we have to change that shade so the body naturally starts shutting down rather than firing when it's not supposed to be. So you want as dark as possible, and we have these kind of blinds in every room in our house, so it gets as dark as we really can get it. And we have lights, the LED lights now, that change color with the time of day, so it automatically goes down to yellow as the sun sets, and it's pretty cool. Can I notice a difference in my from that specific thing in my own experience? I can't, but I'm all about piling on as much positive stuff as possible to counteract any negative. The other thing they say is to keep it cold in your house. In the wintertime, not really that hard. In the summer, kind of sucks if you want to have a decent electric bill. But they're saying like under 67 degrees in the house. What was the other thing? Oh, going back to the light. I know this is what I wanted to say about the light. There was even a study where they put one light electrode, one little light, behind somebody's knee. And they said they could, through however they were trying to detect this, detected that person didn't sleep as well because that part of the person was still seeing light. That's a little too woo-woo for me, but I don't need to prove it any more than like, hey, it just needs to be dark in my room, right? And don't eat too close to bedtime so your stomach's not digesting all that stuff, so you don't, so that's not keeping you awake. What was the other thing? What was the one more thing? There was one more. Oh, I thought I'd be able to remember this. I got to keep better notes. The problem with notes for me is if I keep really good notes, I'm always looking down, and then I can't have a conversation. What was the other thing? Oh, coffee. That's it. The big one, right? The coffee. Don't drink caffeine after 12. And because the half-life of caffeine is, I believe, 8 hours. So it takes 8 hours or 4 hours to reduce the caffeine by half in your body. So, if you drink a lot of coffee in the morning, it's cumulative, and then it takes a long time for your body to process all of that. And, if you're drinking caffeine in the afternoon, and that's probably the first thing I observed for myself, is drinking caffeine in the afternoon will keep me up all night long. And so I had to make my cutoff at noon just naturally from my own observations. But yeah, try to avoid caffeine. Alcohol has a similar effect. You might sleep or pass out from drinking alcohol, but it's a very bad sleep, and I don't think you get into like quality REM sleep. That's not refreshing the way that normal sleep should be. So all of that stuff I've done. I've tried melatonin. Melatonin made me a little bit groggy, but they say you can take quite a bit of melatonin. Don't trust me. Check with your doctor first. But you can take quite a bit, and whatever gets you to sleep, and be perfectly fine. And there's some person did a study on themselves where they took like up to 200 milligrams or some like crazy amount, and it really didn't negatively impact them at all. They were still able to function, go about their day. Normally it's like 3 or 5 or maybe 10 milligrams. Don't go crazy, but so that's one easy way. But like the Lunesta and all that other stuff, I did bring that up with my doctor years ago, and he said absolutely not. He says if you can find a natural way to fall asleep, you want to go to sleep naturally, because once you get hooked on Lunesta, like it just screws with your body. And there's all these other Ambiens, and all this stuff just screws with your body to a point that it's hard to recover from. So, if you can try to avoid any of that and just do it naturally, and sometimes maybe even with melatonin, along with all the tips that I just gave you, you get to sleep better. So, if you're looking to, get yourself like that head start towards like real good mental health, physical health, even the metabolism. They say the metabolism's really affected by sleep. All of it. Get some good sleep. Set yourself up for success there, and start your day off right. And then, check out the Miracle Morning and start doing the Miracle Morning stuff in the morning. And that just gives you that launching point to go forward. I think having a good morning routine, good sleep, and a good morning routine is probably one of the most beneficial things I've ever done for myself. And I can feel it when I'm not on a good morning routine. Man, I feel so off. Like I can't pinpoint it, but I just feel so off. So, let me see. Okay, I'm not missing anybody. All right, good. Let me grab a quick drink here. So this weird thing happened to me this week. If you're in the user group, you heard the story, so you can mentally check out for like 2 minutes. But I bought into a course, a business course, and they take you through like how to do certain things. And I printed out the worksheets, and I bought like these folios with these small like 3-hole binders, right? And I was looking everywhere, all over the house, for a 3-ring binder, and I could not find it anywhere. I knew we had one from the office, and I could picture it. Could not find it. It took weeks. Like I would occasionally, like as I knew I was cleaning things out or looking for the Christmas decorations, I would also be looking for this 3-ring binder or for the hole punch. I'm sorry, the hole punch, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm asking my wife, I'm asking anybody if they've seen it, and everybody says no. So I buy one on Amazon. It was like $10. So I get it the other day. I think it was Tuesday. and I'm all excited. I get the products, the worksheets and the binder, and I punch the holes in the sheets and I put them in there, and I take the hole punch and I put it down right where I would naturally put it on this bookshelf, on the bottom shelf, and it hit something. And you know what it is? The freaking hole punch that I spent 3 weeks looking for. So somewhere in my brain, there was, I couldn't remember where I put the hole punch, but it knew where I would put hole punches. So, I don't understand how all of this works. That I could just so naturally, like if I would have sat here and thought to myself, if I were a hole punch, or if I were somebody with a hole punch, I would probably put it here. Ta-da, there it is, right? So, it's weird how we act and behave, and the weirdness that goes on in our heads, and there's things we experience as children. Like a frightening scene as a child that we might not remember, or an experience we had, or the way our parents treated us, being bullied. All of this stuff, talk about making pathways in your brain, is hardwiring us. All these experiences are hardwiring us to be a certain way. And, good or bad, it's our responsibility to deal with that at this point, right? Because, going back to the whole life and death thing, we're the ones walking around with this thing between our ears, and we're creating the experiences we're having. And you all know those people that, there's situations where, they have a problem for every solution, but then the other people that could be going through a terrible thing, something we couldn't even imagine ourselves going through, and they are just whistling along and like just, it'll get better sometime, or they're at least positively approaching it and handling it in the best way possible. And there's been studies with cancer patients that the mortality rate is actually lower with people that have a positive outlook, and that look positively towards the perspective of recovery. So it's we create our own experience. The experiences that we're having every day, we're creating that to a point. Things are happening to us, but how we perceive that happening to us it's up to us. It's up to us. And so we need to take the time to reevaluate what we're doing every day, and how we're approaching our lives, and how we're programming ourselves to move forward. And that takes me into where I want to go with this video today. And it's the difference between being busy and productive. So a lot of times the pushback I get on this process, the Define My Day process, is that I'm too busy. Another pushback we get is that only 3 priorities, that's not possible. I have too much going on in my life. If I had time to do this, then I wouldn't need it. Like all of those types of comments, right? And regardless of the Define My Day aspect of it, if we're spending so much time that we're if we're so busy that we have no time, we can't take 10 minutes to properly plan out our day, then we're probably not putting our time in the right place. We're busy, right? So what I'm referencing here now is a Harvard Business Review article from 2016 written by Peter Brigman. And I'll post the link after this video is over. And it's "You Need to Practice Being Your Future Self" is the name of the article. And he talks about his executive coaching that he does with people, and how, the guy that he's meeting with, the client he's meeting with, wants to talk about what's bothering him now. And the guy's like, "I'm not here to talk to you about what's bothering you now. I want to talk about where you need to go." And he's like, "Yeah, but this is bothering me now." He's like, "That doesn't matter. What you need to talk about is where you want to go." And it shifts the perspective, right? And so there's a lot of things, and he even goes into this conversation with this person about how it might even be irresponsible or feel irresponsible to not address all of the list of things, right? We started today off talking about that list of things my business needs to take care of, or the list of things that you might need to take care of in your life. There's that whole list of things we need to do. And it might feel irresponsible to just say, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to procrastinate on that, I'm going to get out of that, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to give that to somebody else. That might feel irresponsible because we feel obligated to do all of this work. But the problem is, that work doesn't take us where we want to go in life. So we need to practice being our future selves, not the person we're in now. Not the person it's like you're in a hole and you're digging sand and throwing it out and it's just falling back in on you, right? And that's how a lot of people feel. We keep digging and we're not going anywhere. And that's the way I felt in my old business. I was working harder every day, working longer every day, telling my wife it's going to get better, it's going to get better. But in reality, when I picked my head up, I had no indication that it was going to get any better. I was just going to get busier and busier, and it was just going to be miserable. And I was going to wake up one day and my kids were going to be older and I was going to have a terrible relationship and I was probably going to be divorced and I would have been out of shape and miserable and regretful. And so I had to turn myself from the whole pile of stuff I needed to do. And this again, it can be chores around the house all the way down to business things. If we can focus more attention and we can gradually focus on our future selves. So you picture where you want to be and practice what that person would be doing. The ideal you, if you look ahead to the ideal person that you want to be, what is that person doing on a daily basis? That's what you should be doing. That's the kind of stuff that you should be doing. Not the laundry list of stuff. Try not to swear. Not the laundry list of stuff that you're doing every day. And they specifically talk on here about email. Like, who cares how full your inbox is? Nobody at your funeral is going to say their inbox was so clean. Never, right? And even the guy that the inbox zero guy, even he said that's impossible. We just talked about that last week, right? There's just too much stuff. We have to make time for who we want to be if we're going to actually be that person. So, don't feel bad about having to give up some of the busy work that you do every day. In fact, feel good about it. Because if you're doing something in alignment with where you want to go in life, you're going to feel that sense of purpose. And you're not going to care about the garbage that didn't get done. As long as it doesn't have anything to do with that, right? You can let go of certain things. If you can say, if this doesn't get done, and this is the question I always ask. If this doesn't get done, will anybody care? Will I care? Will it hurt anybody? If the answer is no, if the answer is it will not cause me any kind of negative experience other than me feeling bad about it, don't do it. Don't do it. And focus more of your time on where you want to go. Realize that your time is incredibly important. And after going to a couple of funeral homes in the past 7 days and seeing the pain caused by what transpired. We are carrying around, like, we're responsible for this, right? This vehicle that I have right now, I'm responsible for this, and it's up to me to take this body in the best place that I can, to be exactly who I want to be. And if I fail at that, then everybody else is going to go about their lives. They're going to be really sad, and a lot of them are going to be very upset. But then they're going to have to turn and start moving on their own lives, right? Whether it's my kids or my parents or my friends, family, whatever, like, I am the only one right now responsible for this. And if I take this, if I drive it off of a cliff, then other people are going to go about their business. Sure, they're going to be sad, right? But then they're going to go about their business. They're going to live their lives. So then, while I'm driving this around, while I still have the ability, why would I not want to live up to my best ideal self based on what anybody else thinks or what anybody else is imposing on me or the obligations or the busy work they're giving me, right? Because I know that's a big part of all of this and why we feel like we have to do this list of things, because other people want us to do it, right? Now, if you have a job and you have to work, yeah, I get it. But there are still things that like we can lop off of this list that we can say like, okay, that's not important to me. Why is it important to me, right? And I'm not saying we don't care about other people. I think doing things for other people is great, but not to the detriment of ourselves. So we have to pick and choose where we're putting our time. Another thing that's come up, so it's funny, so before I move on real quick, and he goes into multitasking and all this other stuff and all that nonsense we've talked about in the past, right? So he's trying to get this guy, and his client's name is Sanjay. He's trying to get him, looking like focusing more on his future than on the stupid stuff he has to do today, right? And practicing being his future self. And so it's the wildly important stuff that never gets done that's actually going to move us forward. And so going into that, that's exactly why we have the 3 priorities on Define My Day. We want wildly important things as priorities and goals and milestones in Define My Day. You know, like occasionally things like smaller things become priorities because they just need to get done. But we want the stuff that's moving us forward to get done. That's the stuff that needs to get done. So our priorities are often out of whack. That list that I talked about at the beginning of the session, if we don't properly order that and we just pick all the stuff that's screaming at us, then we really don't move forward. We need to reorder it to make sure the stuff that's taking us forward to our best selves, that's the stuff we're working on. And so, and there's the whole urgent and important thing, and maybe we should talk about that. We'll talk about that in another session. But, the last paragraph here is, even though Sanjay is delighted at the idea of focusing on his future self, he resists it because he doesn't feel as good as solving his current... Oh, if I could learn how to talk and read at the same time. So Sanjay is delighted at the idea of focusing on his future self. He resists it because it doesn't feel as good as solving his current challenges. That's a big one, right? We feel really good about saying, I got this done. No matter how important it is, right? I organized my sock drawer. Awesome. Is that going to make me more money? Is that going to make me happier? Is that going to improve my relationships? Probably not. Got done though. Right? Like, we feel really good about doing stuff, about accomplishing stuff. But what we really need to do is focus on important stuff. And when we journal at the end of the day about what we did today and how we feel about it, that's something we need to keep in perspective, right? We need to make sure that perspective is like, I got all of this done. I don't feel like I made any progress, right? Like, I accomplished stuff, but it didn't move me toward where I wanted to go. That's a feeling that a lot of people have. And that's a feeling we need to pay attention to. Because if we have that feeling, that means we need to realign and readjust our priorities. Like, we need to make sure that we are aligning our actions with the person we want to be. So, while it might feel good to do stuff, make sure that we feel good for the right reason. Not because we have fun expending energy, but because we're actually moving forward. I'm going to check out the comments real quick just to make sure. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Jamie says, I add make a list to my to-do list because I like checking that off. Oh, boy. Kathy, priorities versus to-do is always a challenge. Good thoughts and ideas. Yeah, absolutely. It's always that, that battle between the big to-do list and the few important things we need to do. The story I always tell about myself is when I first started this process, right? Driving down the hill on the way to work or on the way home from work, having this immense guilt that I didn't work hard enough today. And I was coming home in time for dinner. It was like exactly what my goal was. And I had this guilt that I wasn't accomplishing. I didn't do enough. But then in thinking it through, I did exactly what I set out to do that day. I had a whole list of to-do list items that I didn't finish, but it didn't matter. In fact, I probably still have things from that to-do list on my to-do list if I go back into my Wunderlist account and look at that big-ass to-do list. I accomplished the real important things I said. Today would be a good day if I did this. I did that. And that's the perspective switch. It's that feeling of like the big things need to get done. Everything else be damned. And eventually, sometimes, everything else comes in and goes, I need to be done too. And we can say, okay, fine. Kathy, I know you take Fridays to do that stuff, right? I've started to do that myself too. So, but again, it's fluid. It's fluid. Sometimes we just can't always be hard charging and avoiding the little stuff that needs to get done, right? But, sometimes we need to take a breath and turn around and say, okay. But it's all fluid. I mean, the sense of like, I think people get locked in on a sense of like, some people either get locked in on a sense of too much balance or too much hustle in a certain direction. Some people want to be too present and other people want to be too hard charging forward. Some of the comments we see a lot is that like, I can't be that organized. Well, you don't have to be that organized. You can be what is good to you, is good for you, as long as you feel you're moving in the direction you want to go, right? You can be too present and always enjoying every moment, but never progressing forward. Or you could be too in the future, and if you're always in the future, always looking ahead, then you're never really appreciative of what you have now. So by having a sense of balance, then like where you go between the two, I'm not saying they're equally in between the two all the time. You can't do that either. There's just nuance in all of this. So you spend a little bit of time in the future, you spend a little bit of time in the present. Almost always avoid the past, right? And so you spend time between the two, and in different seasons you might have to spend more time in the future. And on other days or weeks, like on a vacation, or on a weekend or a day off, you spend the time in the present, right? And you go back and forth. And I think the more we can practice going back and forth between the two, I feel like the healthier we get, I can like in moments I can plan for the future as long as, and I struggle, I think, myself being present because I'm always trying to anticipate stuff. And so with my kids, I've had to practice being there with them, enjoying the moments, remembering what they looked like, or remembering the conversation, or just really intently listening. So that's been my struggle. But I feel like the better I am there, the happier I am as I move forward, right? I don't want to be the guy that wakes up one day and says, where the hell did my life go? That's living too much in the future. Living too much in the present is like, why can't I get anywhere? And then living too much in the past is, I think, just plain old regret. Always, I mean, look, and I'm there, I know, because I was laying in bed like, oh God, I think it was last night, actually, when I couldn't sleep. So I'm trying like low carbs again right now, just to kind of break myself of the cookie habit and all this stuff from Christmas. And I had like a rush of energy last night. I think my body's trying to figure all this out. And so 10:30 last night, I am, for some reason, remembering something really stupid that I did 15 years ago. And I relived it for a couple of moments. And I felt like I literally went like this in bed because I was so embarrassed for myself. And thankfully, I don't spend a whole lot of time back there because I could think up a lot of stuff that would just make me feel awful. In that moment, I felt bad for myself that I ever did that and the people around me that witnessed it. But I can't live there, right? I can learn from it, I can take it, but I can't live there. So I have to come back forward. And I think in this instance last night, I think it was like the one thing that got me like into meditating again last night. So I don't normally meditate at night, but if I can't stop thinking about something, I will, because it puts me straight to sleep. So yeah, that's It's funny because I've been even talking about it. I'm thinking that happened last night or the night before. Time flying. But yeah, so that's that. And the meditation. The thing that came up in the meditation. Let me show you or read it to you. It's actually in my Facebook story or my Instagram story. If you happen to ever follow me on Instagram or Facebook, which if you're on my Facebook page right now, you see it. So this was another thing, like the whole balance. This popped up on my Headspace app today. Start to notice the day. Oh no, this was yesterday's. I'm sorry. I'll read you today's also. The challenge is to live freely, as though we will live forever, and yet gratefully, as though life could end at any time. So this goes directly to present and future, right? So we want to live freely, as though we'll live forever. We want to enjoy our time. We want to move forward. But at the same time, we have to take the time to appreciate where we are. And that balance between those two spaces is key. And then the one I got today after doing my meditation was start to notice during the day how often you get caught up in thinking negatively about yourself. I still can't talk and read at the same time. Start to notice during the day how often you get caught up in thinking negatively about yourself. And so that's probably one of the biggest benefits for me in meditation is that ability to say, okay, like your mind is going, like monkey mind, your mind is going off the rails right now. You're thinking about something. Let's bring it back and like let's step away from that. That ability, I think, has been helpful for me because I am somebody that could go on a runaway train, right? And they even did an animation in Headspace, and I posted it in the user group today, where they had the little character was a tennis player, and he was mad about a call, and they went into his head, and he was standing there in front of this like flaming tennis player, and like most people own that emotion becomes them. I am angry, and the reality is that you're not. It's not I am angry. That's not who I am. I'm experiencing anger, right? And when you can separate that a little bit and observe it a little bit more, it gives you the ability to not let anger pull you off the rails and do something that maybe you don't like or put you in a really bad mood for your next experience. And I think about this when I watch people on Facebook that get all flipped out about political posts. Looking at that stuff, step back and ask, why does this make me angry, right? Does getting angry about this make anything better? Sure, there are things to be angry about, and there are things we can be activists for or against. But to the point that it's negatively impacting our mentality and how we approach the rest of our day, that's where we need to draw the line. So, with all of this, in the future and past and present and, all the how we discuss this is just be aware of where you're going. You can even label it. If you look at the work you're doing, your busy work, and you say, this is the present me. This stuff isn't moving me forward. I need to be more in my future self. And you can be in your future self and then see a moment arise where maybe a loved one needs you, or you just want to enjoy a sunset. And you can even label it and say, look, I need to stop being the future self for a minute, and I need to step back and be the present me and just take in this moment, right? And if you can switch between those two spaces effectively in the right places, the more you can improve that skill, I think it really takes you forward. You will really start to become that person you want to be. So, I hope that made sense for everybody. I hope it was worthwhile for you. I will anytime you guys have any questions or comments, please put them in here, and I'm happy to answer them for you. That's what I'm going to do right now. I see a couple people wrote in. Kathy says, interesting perspective. Thought I had to clear out the junk drawer in the kitchen Could have used that to be more productive somewhere else. Yeah, right? So, I mean, look, there are things that I struggle with that myself, because I think there's a time to be mindful and organized, because I know a disorganized desk has a negative mental impact on me. But there's a time and a place. So I know exactly what you're talking about right there. Like, cleaning my desk needs to be a priority. But does it? Like, when does it need to be a priority? Cleaning out that junk drawer, at what point do we let it go? Or what point, or when do we say, you know what, I just need to take care of it? And for me, so cleaning off my desk is an end of the day thing, because it takes zero mental resources. So the way I look at it and watching my energy, I have the most focus and energy in the morning. I can't use up that time to organize myself. So if I made the decision to let my desk be a mess the night before, then I'm going to have to live with it. And my desk is going to be a mess, and I'm going to work. And then tonight, I will schedule, a half an hour to clean up my desk or whatever. And I might even put on some music, put on my headphones, put on a video, put on, you can even put on a TV show or a movie, whatever gets you through it, right? So that junk drawer might need to get done. And it might mentally, like, once you get rid of it, you might feel so much better. But I would do it at a time when you would normally be wasting time. I would put that in a space. Like, if you're going to sit down on the couch and watch TV, rather than do that, put something on your phone and watch a TV show on your phone or an iPad or something, and do it while you're doing that, right? Do it in the space, in the time that is throwaway time, like when you just don't need your mental resources for anything. That's when I would do something like that. Melinda says, totally relating to this. After a 25-year career of running full speed, when it ended a few years ago, I found people ask me what I wanted to do next, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Or I wanted my life to... I'm making up words for you there, Melinda. And had no idea what I wanted my life to look like. Figuring out what I want my life to be now, not what I've always done. Whew. And so that whole past defining our future conversation that's probably like a conversation for another time. But I think you're experiencing something that happens to a lot of people. And for me, I think we even talked about it a couple of weeks ago, going into old situations and your past you pops back up and you even react and behave in a way that might have been you 10 years ago. And so, yeah, when you're going in a big transition, retiring or something, and you're bringing the whole way of doing things, your way of thinking, your schedule, the way you deal with people, you're bringing all of that into where you are now and into the future. You have to decide what you want to let go and what you want to take forward. Yeah, that's a tough one. I know. So I hear you there. You have to let me know how you're working through that. Tanya says, I understand Sharon's comments. Sometimes it is all I get done. Sometimes it is all I get done and helps me to focus again. Did I miss one? Sharon, I think I missed yours. Sometimes I add things to my to-do list after I've done it because I like checking it off. Oh, I've done it. You should get credit for that stuff. Plus, on days I feel like I got nothing done, and it helps to add things that weren't on the list to help me realize I do things after all. Yeah, I've done that too. I have backfilled a priority. It's happened. I mean, it's probably happened recently. I might write down one priority for the day, and then something comes up, or I just suddenly go, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And I will do it, and then write down that was a priority. That should have been a priority. Totally get that. I totally get that. But as far as getting credit for doing things and checking them off after the fact, do that too. Get credit for it. You spent your time. You should be aware of where you spent it. It's almost like writing a check and then balancing your checkbook. Totally about it. Totally. The thing for me with that whole priority thing that I've done too is that, the stuff that comes up that's a great idea, I tend to have some shiny object syndrome. So if I don't properly write down the list of things I need to do in priority order, then a shiny object comes up that I believe is a priority. But then when I take it back and look at that list, I'm like, it's not really a priority. I should probably let that one go. Or I can put it on the list and get to it later. So that's where like properly seeing it. It's when I don't see where my priorities are, is when I start to fall off or go off the rails a little bit. You're welcome, Kathy. Hillary, thank you so much. Had not really thought about the priorities being only what is an absolute necessity. I guess I was trying to organize a task list and not think about it as what will really matter if it does not get done. So here is, I think, my failing in this whole process, is that I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. And so I have tried to lighten up the conversation about priorities to help people ease into the process, and hoping that they would understand as they went through it what in their life was a priority and what was not. That's something that I'm going to have to address more in coming months with the whole process. Priorities are meant to be big, but the problem is a lot of people just starting to Define My Day, they see the gigantic, it's not just a list of things, they're surrounded by lists of things to do. And it's hard when you're just under the weight of all of that stuff to sort it out. So we try to get people moving forward in any way we can. And if they move forward in the wrong direction, teach them that they can adjust and change direction a bit and go the right way. But at the same time, there's that perspective switch where you realize, like, for me to make true progress to where I want to go, I need to pick out some really important stuff. And that's what I need to do. So that's why we're talking about this right now. But it's also a key thing that I've seen in the interactions that we've had with customers, is like they're not thinking, I hate to say they're not thinking big enough, but in a way it's true. Like, we need to teach people that certain things don't matter, and time is ticking away. We really need to start making progress. I just don't want it to be so big that it intimidates people, so we don't want to go there. So that's my one of my business nuance things that we're trying to find our way through, is to help people out just beginning, but then also move them through the intermediate phase and the sort of expert phase to make sure that they continue to take those steps forward. Now, can you do it? Melinda, you absolutely can do it. You absolutely can do it. Anybody can do anything. It's just that little progress every day. Sometimes we make mistakes. Other times we make real good improvement. But it's that as long as we continue to make progress, going back to, I think it was last week's video, focus on the progress. Become the person that continues to make progress, not so much the person that meets specific goals. So you just want to progress towards this ideal you, this ideal vision of you. You want to clarify that, and you want to continue to make progress towards that. And when you do that, things get amazing. Amazing. And you find yourself in places you might not even expect, but that you enjoy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. Does anybody else have any questions? If you do, feel free to ask. I will certainly stick around and answer them. You're on your second week, Lori. Awesome. Thank you. I love having you here. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and pick our name for this. If anybody has any other questions, I can stick around. If there are other questions, I can answer them for you. But I want everybody that's been here for an hour, I want to make sure we get this out to you. So we're going to give you 3 things in this whole giveaway. You're going to get your choice of Post-it tabs or the Define My Day Post-it notebook, which has a couple hundred like flags and like little Post-it notes and whatever. we're going to give you either the, also in addition, we're going to give you the Aqua Notes, or you can pick the planner stickers. And then we'll give you 1 3-pack of pens of any color you want, pens or highlighters. So that'll be sort of a completion package for your planner. So for the person that is for the winner of that package, I'm going to randomly pick somebody here. Real quick, just checking the questions. Kathy, right about it's a process. It is a journey. It absolutely is. No more questions, but thank you so much for the answer. You're welcome. And Sherry says, a good short read in this topic is Simplify Your Life by Odette Puller. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So of the commenters, we are going to go, I'm going to close my eyes and just pick one. It is Kathy Hughes Handebode. If that's how I say your last name, I hope I am correct. If not, forgive me, please. But you won our giveaway for today. I appreciate it. Please Facebook message me with your information so that we can send this to you. So if you go on our website, pick out a 3-pack of pens. You can choose between the Aqua Notes or planner stickers. And then we will give you either the Post-it flags and tabs or any color of the Define My Day Post-it book. So you get 3 things. Let us know in the Facebook Messenger what you want. If you have any questions, I can certainly answer them there for you. And then we'll get your address and make sure we get this out to you. So thank you. I appreciate you commenting and joining me. That is correct. All right, great. I'm glad. Sometimes I risk butchering somebody's name, and I really appreciate everybody's patience with that. Connie, this has been very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Awesome. Everybody, thank you for joining me today. I always appreciate it. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please comment. I am happy to answer them. And, we'll go into it next week. If you're a user, a current Define My Day user, jump into the user group. If you don't know how to get into the user group, it's in your welcome email. If you don't have your welcome email anymore, let us know and we will get it to you. We want to see you in there. We do a video every morning, 5 or 10 minutes. But there's also a lot of really cool people in there that are helping each other out. So it's a great community. Over 7,000 people in there right now. Amazing. So Kathy, you're welcome. Congrats, Kathy. Yeah, awesome. Everybody, have a great day. Have a great Friday, great weekend. I hope everybody is having, I hope you all enjoy your present and future self. Connie, you were given the planner as a gift. Awesome. If you're given the planner as a gift and you don't have the link to the welcome or to the user group, message us and we will get that to you. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great day. Bye.